You are called to the mountain top of attainment for what you have already garnered in this and other embodiments, so that you might put on the garment of the Lord, that you might be caught into the acceleration of the flames of God and prove out all that your own God presence has desired, all that you have vowed to complete, all of the cycles fulfilled in the fullness of the victory. Many do slumber and sleep through many lifetimes, only to find themselves in between embodiments, awakened from that slumber temporarily, to realize what has gone on before, how they have abused, misused, and neglected the very offering and the sustenance that their own God presence has bestowed for them. And thus there is great remorse and an inner vow to complete, if given the opportunity once more to enter into the physical octave, a greater portion of that which the presence has desired. The longing of the heart of your own God presence is for you to be God victorious, for you to overcome even the slightest of those initiations and cycles in which you are thrust, so that you might understand and garner the wisdom of God, have the full weight of the will of God pressed upon you, and to have a burning love for God that cannot be denied at any turn, and thus preparing you for that ultimate day of your own ascension, when you will climb in your own chariot and return into the oneness with the heart of your God presence, having completed and fulfilled all of the requirements for that ascension. What a glorious witness each one of you will be when many of those brothers and sisters on the path, having passed from the screen of life, take up their rightful place as a new, ascended presence of God. You blessed hearts have been given the opportunity to know of the path to the ascension. You have understood all of the trials and tribulations. You have been warned of the pitfalls and those areas where the human consciousness might snag your attention so long that you would lose your way and not be in the right place at the right time, fulfilling all the requirements of the hour, so that you are there when your presence calls you home. Perhaps this seems too far for you to consider for yourself. Certainly looking around and dragging up all of the dredge of even this lifetime would give you pause for consideration of whether or not such a glorious opportunity was availed to you. But do you not realize that in a blink of the eye, your mighty I Am presence can shift the current within your own outer vehicles into that glorious vibration of the light of the Christ, and that you can walk the path, leaving with every footstep a fire that denotes that a Christ has walked the earth, a Christ has fulfilled the requirements of the law, and a Christ has given unto the allness of God their life, their fortune, all that they have ever hoped to be, so that the fullness of that presence of God would be the mantle that they wore for eternity. In this hour, there are many of you that have already received the blush of the awareness of your own God presence. And from time to time you have had the mantle of your Holy Christ presence wrapped about your shoulders, infused within your mind, charging your emotional body, and giving you the stature of the presence in your own physical body. You have understood when this has been a more than ordinary way in which you have made your life, for it is a marked difference. May I suggest to you that you hold on to every erg of energy, every recognition of that occasion, and you trace within your own mind, your emotional body, and your physical body, every attribute of that experience, so that you will remember how you got there and where you want to be in all of your days. Having that mantle of the Christ firmly fixed within your vehicles of consciousness, so that you are the hands and feet, the mind and the emotions of your mighty I Am presence. And all that you accomplish, you give in gratitude to the mighty I Am presence. For that is why you have had the ability to even begin to recognize that the presence of God is within you. For the action of the resurrection flame to occur in your life, there must be the sufficient fire of God that begins to move, that searches out those areas of the human consciousness, the human desires, the human momentums, and puts them into the flame, leaving that pristine record that was your Edenic record and blueprint of the mighty I Am presence, sown into the very fabric of your being and resonating upon the altar of your heart. That is the record, blessed hearts, that you are striving to fulfill. And as that fulfillment occurs, you know that your life is no longer your own. You cannot have a selfish motive for all that you stand for, all that you hope for, all that you dream is to awaken the light of God in the sons and daughters of God who still slumber and sleep. For you are filled to overflowing with the glorious radiance of the light of God. You understand how that light moves every endeavor of your life, how it charts the course, how it threads through the mind and connects within your own consciousness the ability to have wisdom's flame burning brightly there, so that you will no longer make errors in judgment. Your discerning faculties will be that mind of the Christ, and you will understand that when that Christ light blazes forth, the love that you have for God will be undeniable. And all about you will be those that will be magnetized to that love. And those that are not are still in the deepest slumber of all, for they have not had the awakening of their own threefold flame upon the altar of their heart sufficient to hear the word of God, to perceive with their inner ear that vibration that resonates loud and clear. I am the Lord thy God, and I will fulfill my fiery destiny. This, blessed hearts, is proclaimed by your mighty I Am presence all through the days of your incarnations. For it rings clearly so that you will not forget. You will not have those areas of the human creation so densified in your life that you are unable to perceive the voice of God, the hand of God, the love of God. I, Elijah, do understand that it takes time for some life streams to let down the barriers that have held them at arm's length, even from their own God presence. They have trusted in the past, and that trust has been abused. They have had faith in the past, but that faith was in worldly endeavors, not in the hand of God, and thus they have been disillusioned. They have loved, but it has been a love of the human conditions, of those horizontal relationships that many times are a test and a teaching in and of themselves to learn how to love unconditionally, so that when you are called upon to love the mighty I Am presence, love the Lord thy God, you know what it means to love unconditionally. For yes, while in incarnation you have not always had the clarity of consciousness or the desire to understand what was wise and what was the will of God to call into your life or to engage, but nonetheless, the saving grace for every son and daughter of God is when they love God more than they love the outer circumstances of life. When there is no outer condition that is more prominent in the forefront of one's consciousness than that of the mighty I Am presence. When there is such a glorious communion in the heart of God that it keeps one satisfied, whole, and complete throughout that day. And as the new day dawns, that one, having grown accustomed to the sustenance that is proffered by the hand of God to them, rushes quickly to bend the knee before the altar, to invoke the light of God, to touch that light and be filled once more, to be renewed and face all of the opportunities that the presence has prepared as a banquet table of opportunity, testing, and initiations for that one. How often there are those that are weary of the path, not because the presence of God is not there, but because they have not made room for the presence of God in their life. And thus, they have dried up, been beached upon that droughted soil, and there has not been the renewed source of the life consciousness of God flooding into their life to give them the strength, the energy, and the conscious awareness that life is very good, is holy and sacred to those who are willing to stay within the citadel of light of the mighty I Am Presence. So if I, Elijah, have a cry that I issue forth, it would be to the sons and daughters of God, awaken! Awaken to the reality of the light of God within you. Awaken to the glorious love of God that is there to surround you and wrap you in the comfort that would seal you off from the worldly warring of thought and feeling and the human conditions that are so prevalent throughout the land. The Lord thy God will be your protector, your defender, and instill within you a renewed faith and trust, unlike all that you have ever proffered to any human. This is the life eternal that you can count on. It will not fail you. It will not let you down. It will not forsake you. And you will have all the days of your life the glorious light of God flooding into your life, knitting you together with the circumstances of life that you require and that your presence desires, washing clean your garments, and then imbuing these vehicles of consciousness that you wear with the resurrection flame that elevates your consciousness down to the very densest cell of your physical body, so that as that acceleration occurs, you are lifted up higher and higher until one day your presence will realize that it is time for you to return, and you will not be able to keep your feet planted on terra firma. The presence will lift you up, and you, not unlike my life stream or that of beloved Jesus, take your ascension in the light and fulfill your fiery destiny. As you prepare for this coming cycle of the resurrection flame that will be released from this altar, cleanse and purify your vehicles of consciousness. Abstain from those areas where you would dip your consciousness into the impurities that are among the human conditions of the world. Draw back from the putrefied action of the cesspools of the astral plane that would pour into your consciousness and affect your emotional body, so that as you are fasting from the world's conditions, you are making room for the realm of your God presence to be wrapped about you, to be infused into your life. And as the ascended and cosmic beings come with their dispensations of light and their teaching and consciousness of cosmic law, you will have a vehicle prepared for absorbing as much as possible, given your attainment and given the opportunities. And you, blessed ones, will come away knowing that the hand of God is at work in the earth, and you no longer worry about the earth or the wars or the economics, or whatever is outpictured in the world, you know that the hand of God is your salvation, your source for all of life. And no matter whatever is going on, you are in the fullness of the light of God. You rush to your altar daily to be filled, so that as you are filled, you may empty out that chalice each day, assisting those that you come in contact, calling forth the legions of angels and archangels to go into action to assist the earth and all of the sons and daughters of God that need in this hour those intercessions that the holy angels can bring. And you will know that you have fulfilled your part, for your presence has called you and you have answered. You were awake, you were responsive, and you fulfilled your fiery destiny. As you approach this coming cycle of the Easter tide, where the resurrection flame burns brightly to bring about the new shoots, the new life, then you, blessed ones, will likewise enter into a new understanding of your purpose in life, what it is that your presence has called you to fulfill. Not holding on to the past, but approaching today as though it was the first day that you had had such a contemplation. And at the close of that cycle, you are filled sufficiently with the strength of God, the power of God, the courage, and the love of God to fulfill all that is required. Mark well that it is the will of God and not the human ego, the human pride, the human desires, or the human momentums, but because you have fasted of the ways of the world and you have purified your vehicles of consciousness, it is the desire of the ascended masters that you will be prepared to receive your mighty I Am presence clearly, with an understanding of how that presence desires for you to fulfill all your days. I, Elijah, commend you to the resurrection fires. Once you have purified your vehicles of consciousness, invoking the violet flame, fasting for a time to purify the physical body, establishing a momentum of sustaining from the world's energies, so that you will know the voice of God and the direction of God for your life stream. I commend you to the fiery furnace and the will of God as you take up this new opportunity for your life stream and the fulfillment of every purpose that your presence has dreamed for you. I thank you